Radio Rahim with the Gypsy King, Tyson Fury. I came into this venue passing a racetrack, and then I came into this locker room and saw your father, saw your brother, saw your other brother, saw your son, saw you yourself ringside as I walked through the venue, and realized that not unlike maybe the horses that race out on the track, the bloodlines that are bred to win, this Fury clan
dynasty.
Yeah,
sounds better.
There's got to be something in the blood.
And you tell you what, right? My brother boxed out there tonight, and he looked really good. He's never had an amateur fight before. He's never boxed ever before.
That's the first time.
His first time in a ring competing to win or lose. That's it. And he's 26, made his debut at 26. He said, if Tyson can do it and Tommy can do it, I can do it.
Now, are you the inspiration for all this boxing in your family because of your success, or is it something in the blood that just makes you fighting people?
It's in our blood, Well, all of us are boxed. If you look at most of my brothers, we've all boxed now. The only one, there's 5 of us, 6 of us, and only 2 haven't boxed professionally. The rest of them have boxed professionally. That's crazy, isn't it?
It's a bit crazy. And sitting there ringside, when you see your brother in his first bout, or you see Tommy in one of his bouts, what are you feeling?
It's difficult because it's not me and I'm not in control of it. So you feel nervous and you feel a little bit tense. But at the end of the day, I know the work that the guys are putting into the gym. So if they lose to somebody on the night, it's because they're not good enough. It's not because they didn't work hard enough. And I can deal with that. But I can't deal with someone going in ill-prepared and losing because they ran out of steam after 2 rounds, which he looked like he could have done 6 to 8 rounds tonight quite comfortably. And it was his first combat fight. So
I didn't know that was his first fight. He was surprisingly relaxed in there.
And good movement and very good ring craft and distance was pretty good too. For a guy who's never had a fight before, he done amazing.
And as you said, it's not you in the ring. And maybe the least surprising bit of news in boxing history is the return of Tyson Fury from retirement.
Yeah.
That is because no one believed you could leave the gloves hanging on the wall. What is it either inside you? Is it the bloodline? Is it the excitement that keeps you climbing through those ropes?
When I retired back in April, I really meant it. I would have passed any lie detector test. But, I was away for like about 3 or 4 months, messing with my dog and taking the kids to school and training. And, I just don't feel like I can function properly without professional boxing at the moment. Maybe there's a doctor out there who could help me, but I don't know. I just need it. Right now I need to fight. I've got some fight left in me, and all the time I'm still able to do so. I will continue to fight because retirement sucks for me. Like, I'm not 72 and I've a lot of young kids around the house. And, I now realise that like a training camp, 8-9 weeks is like a spa break. I go away and pampered, looked after like a racehorse. Everything's done for me. I get up, I eat on time, I do everything, a massage, all this stretching, yoga kind of stuff. It's kind of crazy, like how I missed it so much and I need that in my life. And I don't see it as like a fight camp anymore. I see it like a spa break. It's just like a break. It's like a rehab center. It's like a health spa.
When you say you can't function properly, what is it that falls apart?
It's just like average life for me. It's not going to work. And I know that now because I'm anything but average.
You reached the pinnacle of boxing once before. Yeah. And after that, it seemed like the boxing life wasn't functional. You couldn't function with boxing. Yeah. What's changed now that you're at the pinnacle again and it's the reverse?
Again, I've always been in love with this sport, and I think once you're in love with something for so long, then it's hard to shift. And if there was a remedy for me to take, and I'd be not in love with boxing anymore, then I'd take it right now, because I know that at 34 years old, how long have I got left as a fighter? And if I didn't retire now, then how am I going to retire in 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years? It's going to be the same process. I'm going to feel exactly the same. I was 4 months into this recovery period, and I got a friend here, Bob, and he said to me today, he's like, you're happy again. And for 4 months, you were very sad. And it's like, I've got nothing to be sad about. I was undefeated world heavyweight champion, plenty of money, plenty of accolade, family, other stuff to do, documentaries, books, songs, everything. However, I didn't feel fulfilled and I didn't feel happy. So here I am back again, return to the Mac yet again.
You know, they say if you don't learn lessons in life, they will keep trying to teach them to you until you get it. Yeah. And it seems like boxing's kind of in life has come full circle in the sense that we don't know for certain who your next opponent is, but it appears to be Derek Chisora. It's even been reported. I don't know if those reports are accurate.
Well, I don't think anything's been signed yet, but we're about to announce next week. So, yeah, there'll be an announcement imminent next week of an opponent. We have, I think there's 4 or 5 different guys who's in the hat, in the running right now. And one will be selected next week, and it will be on like Donkey Kong, December the 3rd.
What is the determining factor? What's the metric you use to decide who that opponent should be?
It's like an eeny, meeny, miny, mo, whichever one of these guys I want to make a millionaire. Because that's what we're dealing with. It's whoever I want to give the lottery ticket to, basically.
Well, you've got some history with Chisora, maybe unlike the others that are in contention.
Yeah, there's a few guys there, and they're quite tasty appetize wetters. But, Chisora would be a good opponent for me because I'd be the first heavyweight champion in history to complete 2 trilogies. And that is like history as well. So not only would I win another belt and have another fight and entertain the fans, but I'd also get a little bit of stuff for myself as well, a little bit more stuff I can add to my mantle and what I already don't have.
Well, speaking of history, the second time you fought Chisora was the precipice of your Klitschko fight, which obviously was the pinnacle of your career up until this stage. Yeah. If Chisora ends up being your opponent, and this is a rubber match, and you're successful in the way you intend to be, then Usyk is the next most likely opponent, which would make you undisputed. Did you think about that at all, like bringing that pit of history into the modern day?
Not really, because in my opinion, Chisora at least got a draw with Usyk. So I see Chisora every bit as dangerous as Usyk, if it is Chisora. I don't know if you've seen that fight with Usyk and Derek.
Yes, of course.
Very good fight, very close. And I thought Chisora deserved the draw minimum. I think Usyk's manager had it a draw as well, if I remember rightly. So Chisora's no pushover. Even if it is Chisora, he's no pushover. And if you're not in your A game, Derek will beat you to fuck.
Would you say he's the most dangerous of the opponents that you're choosing from?
No, there's some southpaws in there. Obviously, I'm looking to fight Usyk in the next year because he doesn't want to fight in December. So there's a few southpaws in there as well, which we're looking at. So yeah, which would obviously help. Southpaw. But then again, does it really matter? Not sure.
Well, in England, it certainly matters. I don't need to tell you how excited British fans are about an all-British fight, no matter who's in the ring. And the one that we thought we might get that had everybody talking was Anthony Joshua. Just spoken to her, and everyone has been taking some type of questions about this. But you haven't. And you've been stating on Instagram where you are with it. I know you gave them a deadline, but how serious was the offer in the first place? And why put a deadline on it if it was possibly close to being made?
Okay, so how serious was the offer? 60-40, internet, the world was there. They've had the contract. They had the contracts for like 2 weeks and didn't sign them for commercial reasons, whatever the fuck that means. Sponsors. So if you're going to let a sponsor get in the way of the biggest heavyweight fight in British boxing, not world, British boxing history, then, you need to regroup. And at the end of the day, it was a very, very serious offer. If I wasn't serious, I wouldn't have offered him the fight. They wouldn't have had the contract. If they would have signed it, we would be fighting Joshua right now in December. But they always will find the reason not to fight the Gypsy King. I can't blame them. And I went through him like a hot knife through butter inside 3-4 rounds anyway. But still, I'm not going to go there with it all because at the end of the day, I'm over that now. And the deadline is the fact that we're 8 weeks away from a fight today. So if they didn't sign it, which they didn't. So how close do you want to leave it? 2 weeks before, a week, 3 weeks, a month? These things are not hard. These promoters will make it sound like, oh, the deals are hard, commercial. The commercial rights. What the flipping heck does that even mean? It's basically TV deals, okay? So both TV agree, then we're on like Donkey Kong usually. And the fighters agreed a purse, which they said they did. They were happy with the 40% split, which was very generous. So what's the commercial rights then? What's that? Because I'm obviously elite #1 boxer that makes a lot of money on all of this type of thing, commercial rights, what the fuck that is. And I have no clue what they're talking about. Zero clue. And I still don't. But if you would have given them a deadline of 2 years, they still ain't going to make the fight. Let's face facts.
Why do you think they wouldn't make this fight?
They're both pussies. We know Joshua wouldn't fight Wilder for $50 million back in the day. We all know that. My lawyer seen the money, the $50 million from Al Heyman. That was real. Yeah? And he shit himself yet again. He has never fought somebody who's going to beat him. And I'll tell you what else they can't do, these control freaks. They can't go on somebody else's show because their ego's too big. This was not Joshua versus Fury because Fury doesn't have 3 losses. This was Fury, Joshua. And it was all my show. Okay? So for them to turn up with that size of egos and play ball and be the opponent, they're not going to do that. They wouldn't do it for the 50 million against Wilder, go to America and fight Wilder as a Wilder versus Joshua show. So me and Deontay proved, although we don't like each other and we have no love lost, and he's accused me of a million things, bullshit things, the one thing that I can say about Deontay is the man's got balls. And not only did he not sign for a 60-40 in the 3rd fight, he took me to fucking court to get that fight. He didn't run away. He paid millions of dollars. Well, I did. I lost. So I had to pay his court fees. So I had to pay millions of dollars for him so this little motherfucker could fight me. And then you got this other big sausage here. He's had a contract on his table willing to fight him and he didn't sign it. But Wilder has gone to court arbitration lawsuits in American court to make me fight. Now you tell me about men. One man's potentially risk losing millions of dollars to make the fight, and one man's running for millions of dollars. Different men completely. And by the way, all behind all the scenes, there was recently, they were still trying to contact Wilder while he was trying to do negotiations with me. So they're all out in the cold now, though, where they belong. Get out there, Dossers. Get up, Slinks. Dossers, Slinks.
Well, Wilder...
No world titles. 0 belts. Road to Undisputed's finished, Dosser. Get up!
Well, Wilder might be out in the cold when it comes to a Fury fight for sure, but he's going to be under those hot lights in just 7 days.
7 days, yeah, that'll be a good fight for him to come back. He's had a year out. We do not know how much the Gypsy King's taken out of Wilder. He's had just over a year out, and I give him a hell of a beating that last time. Really laid it to him, and he needed a long time to recover, but we will see. But don't write a 4th fight off for me and Wilder.
Really?
Yeah. You got Usyk, didn't want to fight, offered millions and millions and millions to fight in December, ran away. Bitch don't want no smoke. Then you got the bodybuilder over here who's running away from the biggest payday that he can ever get and making a million excuses, commercial rights, whatever the flip they are. Yeah? And then Wilder, in the meantime, if he beats Selenius, they're going to make a final eliminator, him and Andy Ruiz. And if he beats Ruiz, guess who's back again?
No way.
Big D! I don't mind, because the man wants a fight. It's a great fight. We've had 3 good fights. And if he becomes mandatory again, and I don't get this other fight with this little middleweight guy, who I'm just going to run through, then we'll do Wilder again. Number 1 ranked mandatory if he gets to that position. Who wouldn't want to watch that again?
Well, arguably, you've beaten him 3 times, twice for sure on the record. Yeah. What could he possibly do, in your opinion, to win a 4th fight?
It would seem that the Bronze Bomber cannot beat the Gypsy King. However, he ran up close last time, didn't he, with 2 knockdowns in round 4. And if I wasn't a superhuman specimen, unbeatable, then I probably would have lost that fight to Deontay Wilder. He would have claimed the scalp. But when all the chips are down, I can pull him out the fire yet again.
Now, for both fighters, let's take you out of the equation for a second, because you've just given me a road for Wilder to reclaim a title. Yeah. But both Joshua and Wilder are coming off multiple defeats. They're trying to build their way back to world titles. Yeah. Do you think either one of them gets there? Who gets there first, and why?
Before speaking about that, I think we should touch on this 3-headed monster that was around for quite a number of years. There was me, Wilder, Joshua. The 3-headed dog, the Greek mythology 3-headed dog. Cerberus. 1, 2, 3. What's his name?
Cerberus.
Cerberus. okay? And 3 became 1. And isn't it funny that the old fat bald-headed fella who come out of retirement and a druggie, an alcoholic, a suicide patient, comes out of retirement to chop the other 2 dogs' heads off and to be supreme. When everybody thought the middle one was finished, gone. And now you look at them, they both had multiple losses. I've absolutely smashed Wilder's record to bits. Should have 3 losses, but he's got 2 and a draw. And what Joshua's got 3 now over his last 5 fights. So completely swept under the carpet, where the old fat man who's bald and fat and out of shape and slow and chinny and can't fight and all that and scared of everybody keeps rolling on and keeps putting these big events on. And it's quite funny, actually. And then you got to get new people in the division who are coming through to give me a challenge. Like this middleweight guy's popped up from middleweight, and now he's beat the bodybuilder. He's a bona fide challenger. And when I run through him, you know what people are going to say? He was too small for Tyson Fury. Everyone knew Fury was going to beat him. He was half of his size. You heard it here first. This is all the complaints that we're going to hear when I cut down Usyk. He was too small for Fury.
It's interesting. He might think he's too small.
He would never have beat Evander Holyfield back in the day.
I don't know if he's just winding you up because you've chosen another opponent, but he's even mused about going down to cruiserweight. He doesn't seem too bothered to fight you, certainly not this year.
I don't blame him. They got offered the fight for December. They declined it and declined it again. And certain people were putting pressure on him to do a fight, make it happen, but they didn't care. They would rather lose the money than fight me. He's got to go back into the wilderness and eat his little food that he does, wink, wink, and then come back when he's a big, strong boy to fight the Gypsy King.
As happy as I am to be sitting here talking to you, I would much rather be ringside at the O2 Arena. And there's a couple other fighting families that were meant to be, what was billed as a rubber match, but clearly 2 sons fighting each other for the first time. Yeah. You know, this fight's falling apart. Ben has failed a drug test. What do you make of that bit of news and the decision to not go on with the fight?
Be honest with you, I don't get involved in other people's businesses. So whatever's going on with that fight is up to them entirely. It's another stink show for Matchroom, now, isn't it? Another one bites the dust, unfortunately. But again, what happens between them fighters and what one does in his life is none of my business. So one thing you'll never see me do is jumping on the bandwagon of slating somebody because it's in fashion. Now, if you go on Instagram, you can see lots of idiots' opinions on what's happened in that fight and why it didn't happen. And this should happen, that should happen. Totally irrelevant people that don't even matter in boxing are having their opinion on a massive fight, on why it should or shouldn't happen. So me, none of my business, don't get involved. Like I always said, never get involved in anybody else's business because you always come unstuck when you do. Don't care, none of my business.
Well, I'm wearing a Muhammad Ali a jacket on the back. People can't see it. It says the People's Champion. Yeah. I don't think it's arguable that you are, in fact, the People's Champion.
Well, I like to take pictures with the fans and embrace the fans and do what I can, you know. There's a cut-off switch for it all, but there's a time and a place for it all also. And while I'm at fights and stuff, I'm here to do that. And while I'm not, I gotta go, you know. But you know, can you imagine me and Muhammad Ali in the same room together, having a pint of beer or something?
I just want to listen to you guys talk.
I think if we were alive now, if he was alive now, God rest his soul, that we would be like the bestest buddies in the whole wide world.
We know Muhammad Ali is considered the greatest of all time. And I know you say legacy doesn't matter and money doesn't matter and all that, but Gypsy King is on everybody's back and you are the people's champion of the modern day. What does it mean to you, this return to the ring and the possibility of being undisputed, in which on a day I think that you might actually retire?
Again, you know, the undisputed thing has never been my bag. Like all this undisputed talk, and this undisputed to me is like pound for pound. Doesn't really mean much to me in my life. But what I've achieved in my life and where I've been and what I've come back from, like undisputed and pound for pound and all that crap, it's not really my interest, you know. Of all these organisations, I only respect one of them.
Which is that?
Very bold, but true. I only respect the WBC. The rest of them I've no interest in. Because when I was their champion, and I have been every other champion, believe it or not, because I completed the game of boxing, they treat me like a piece of shit. The undefeated world heavyweight champion was treated like a piece of shit from the governing bodies. And you know you did. So if you're watching the interview, you've done it to yourself. However, the WBC are proper, family-orientated, proper organisation, which whom I respect. Mauricio and Pepe and the rest of the gang, I really admire on people. They do a lot of good stuff. And in my opinion, they're the best organisation out there, for a fact. And that's the only belt that I care about.
Well, you've been a great champion for the WBC, even Ring Magazine. You've held all those belts.
Ring Magazine is not an official sanctioning body, so I didn't put them in that place. But the Ring Magazine is, I hold them very, very dear to my heart. They're the holy grail of boxing. That's that Rocky Balboa title. And you know that's a proper belt, the Rocky Balboa one. That's the one as well.
You've given it up. Do you want it back?
However, there is method in my madness. I gave up the Ring Magazine belt so they two could fight each other. So I could become a 3-time Ring Magazine champion and join outer stratosphere this man, Muhammad Ali, the only man in history to become a 3-time world heavyweight Ring Magazine champion. So I gave it to them on purpose because I know I can smash them and get it back.
Well, I'm sure I speak for all boxing fans when I say we're happy that you're back pursuing these goals inside the ring. I'm very grateful that you've given me the time, and I'm happy to be sitting here with the Gypsy King, Tyson Fury,
you don't
Radio
know it says
Rahim.
on me hat.
So no one can forget.
And on me back, just in case you forget.
Oh, and the People's Champion on mine.
Radio Rahim, you heard it here first. Good man.